Hello, my name is Alan Young and I have taught mathematics for 30 years. What I'm going to tell you now is devastating for people who don't realise it, but can be used to great advantage for people who understand its full implications, and I hope, of course, that that will be you. Take a look at these grade boundaries. How the final grades are calculated is a complex business which I don't have time to go into here, so let's look instead at the grade boundaries for just one set of actual examination papers, and these have been combined and adjusted to include both the higher and foundation levels. These are grade boundaries made from a real set of papers, don't forget. The maximum mark on this scale is 80. Now take a look at the mark necessary for a grade A. As you'll see, it's 61 out of 80 marks. Get 61 on the adjusted scale and your grade A is assured, at least on this paper. Now look at the marks necessary for a grade C, 49 to 54. Let's suppose your score is at the top end of the C range, say 53 or 54. How many more marks would you need to get a grade A? Well, the answer, surprisingly, is only 7 or 8 marks out of 80. That's all. Just another 7 or 8 marks and you would skip right over the grade B altogether and go straight to grade A. And if you were already in the middle of the grade B range, you would only need 3 or 4 marks to get that A. Obviously, you have to be taking the higher papers to get a grade A or B, so what happens if you're taking the foundation papers? Well, the same thing applies. If your adjusted score on this paper were, say, 41 or 42 out of 80, i.e. at the top end of grade E, you would only need another 7 or 8 marks to get a grade C that most people regard as a pass. Just 7 or 8 marks. Now, here's the thing, and it's a biggie. Most people can make that jump over the grades simply by avoiding what I call throwaway marks. People like me who've marked lots of external examination papers will know that candidates often make silly mistakes that are absolutely and totally avoidable, and I'm sure your teachers will have mentioned a few examples to you already. Surprisingly, not knowing multiplication tables is very common. So many students don't know what 9/8 are, for example. And another very common mistake, which I'm sure your teachers are always going on about, is not showing your working. You should always do this, even if the question doesn't ask for it. Let's take a typical GCSE question, the type perhaps where you're asked to calculate a discount and spread the payments over 12 months. You know the sort of thing, I'm sure. A question like this typically carries 3 marks. If you make a simple tables error, that's 1 mark, and if you don't show the working and make an error, the examiner has nothing to give you marks for, so that's 3 marks lost straight away. You can see it won't be long before you've lost enough marks to take you down a whole grade, or perhaps even 2. But you know what the biggest mistake of all is? It's telling yourself that you're able to answer every GCSE question absolutely perfectly, when in fact you're not able to do so. It's a matter of pride, really. Now, the only way to be certain that you're able to answer questions properly is to check your answers against model answers to lots and lots of GCSE type questions. So please download the free modules now and work through them carefully. Then I strongly suggest you purchase the model answers for the modest sum of just £10 and check all your answers in detail. By doing so, you will see where you are throwing away marks and reduce the number you're likely to have in the real examinations. It's the fastest and most efficient way of making sure that you get the grade you need. And by the way, the reduced price is being held until midnight on Friday the 6th of May. Let me put it this way, if you don't get the grade that you really need, and remember you could miss it by just a couple of marks, what are you going to do then? Are you going to accept that you may not be able to go to the university of your first choice, or you might not be able to get that job that you would really love to do, or are you going to do a resit? Both of these scenarios are terrible places to be, and that's why I genuinely believe that purchasing the model answers to these modules could be the best £10 you'll ever spend. But don't forget to take advantage of this special offer you must purchase before midnight on the 6th of May. And so finally, may I wish you the very best of luck in these most essential of examinations, and thank you for listening.